Ladies and gentlemen, here's the motherfucking tea.
Welcome back, everybody, for another week of My Hero...
Villain!
My Villain Academia reviews. I was actually going to do a whole thing with the visuals for, like, the opening here, but I've been busy, so I'm sorry. I didn't change up the visuals like I wanted. I apologize. Maybe next week. It might be too late, though.
They did change the opening like I predicted. It said My Villain Academia on it.
Yep, they in fact did change the opening, technically.
Yeah, not as much as I was maybe hoping.
They didn't get Man on a Mission to go in and re-record like a new thing.
It would have.
They didn't go from merry-go-round to Ferris wheel, but
to be fair, I have not watched that opening a bunch of times, but I feel like they slightly changed the music when it changed to My Villain Academia. I feel like it did like a little minor note, like chord there instead of, but I could just be making that up.
I'm sorry, I can't get over the fact that you said Ferris wheel, and now I'm just expecting that when it comes to like carnival rides, the Ferris wheel is the evil villain to the merry-go-round.
Well, if you know anything about Sir Jonathan Ferris, the creator of the Ferris wheel, I'm going to start pulling some facts out of my ass that aren't real. Well,
John Ferris,
love and war. No, that doesn't work as well as I'd hoped. All's fair in is, close. Was one letter off.
Okay, all right.
Better in my head.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's not focus on it.
But yeah. So this week we in fact have started the fabled, the infamous My Villain Academia arc.
Which I'm not seeing a school, by the way.
They're getting schooled by a giant.
It's the school of hard knocks. Okay.
Street school.
Yeah. Gigantomachia is in fact the teacher, and he is here to teach.
That doctor is also an accredited college professor.
Yeah, there you go.
They gonna learn today, is what I'm saying. So yeah, we got introduced to a couple of different things this episode. One of them being we've seen Gigantomachia before, but now we're finding out that Gigantomachia not only is incredibly subservient to All for One, but is also seemingly under the control of one doctor.
Not necessarily under the control, but kind of under like the psychological like it's not really control. It's like he plays All for One's voice, and it's like there we go. That's how I get him under. It's Pavlov's bell, basically.
Yeah, I like how he's like charging at him, and literally just hearing his boss saying his name makes him drop to his knees and like oh, my master, please.
I love you. Which explains the radio now.
Yeah. Which, that was kind of there for a while, and it's like, what the fuck's the radio about?
I love that we got introduced to him before we even realized what he was back in Kirishima's backstory with Ashura.
Yeah, I
definitely thought he was just going to be like a filler bad guy. They were going to quickly fight for that segment or something. And then like when they kind of did nothing with him, he just sort of walked by. It was a much more like, oh, okay, that's cryptic and weird.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Yep, and as it turns out, in fact, he's kind of like a Nomu, actually.
It seems, I was wondering about that since we got introduced to the concept that there are smart Nomus. But it seems like he's a living person that just has maybe a couple of quirks jammed in him, like force fed into him.
Yeah. And he's a monster, just a straight up monster. And I remember we actually skipped a little bit in this episode. There was some stuff from the Abraya chapter that was actually cut out. Yeah, they're speeding through to the meat of this material. I feel like they don't want to
appreciably.
They don't want to spend too much time on the Gigantomachia stuff, which I actually is kind of to its detriment because we're actually skipping some really solid character stuff with the League. I'm hoping maybe we get some of that later, like they're able to cut it in during like some of the big action parts. But as it is right now, we've skipped some stuff, and it's not going to necessarily halt the development of the story, but it is kind of noticeable. Like I had to go back and be like, oh, okay, wow, we're going real fast, huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, go right ahead.
I might be jumping ahead a little bit in the episode, but this just feels like I hate that because I feel like we've harped on this a lot this season, but the switching of the order of this stuff feels really weird now because we're building up with this like, all right, we've got this conflict, the League versus Destro kind of thing, and it's like, ooh, okay, cool, but we know from prior episodes they're working together. like we know the League is there, and like seemingly in like at least like it doesn't seem like things are going bad. So I'm like there must be some layer of agreement they're going to reach after this conflict we're excitedly building to. It just feels weird. And
you're right. Weird isn't the word for it. It's bad.
Messy. It's messy because you've seen Twice hanging out with these people and they're chilling in a board meeting. I don't think they'd be doing that, especially because Twice has shown himself to be incredibly loyal to his friends.
Yeah.
If anybody got injured throughout this process.
I mean, and it's funny to me that it's like, I hadn't thought about this until this episode, but that it will specifically be Twice and Blood Girl, whose name I'm blanking on right now.
Toga, I think.
Toga, yes.
Yeah.
And those two were also the ones who worked for Shia Hasaikai when they were planning on ditching them and messing with them too. So I'm assuming this is going to be a tenuous friendship and something that they're probably planning on ruining. But
it's going to be another one of those mutual respect situations. It's like, okay, you're strong. I see what you got going, but we could use you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to how they handle the material that's coming up. I'm still excited about that, but swear to God, if it were me, if I were showing this to somebody, I would actually tell them to watch the episodes way out of fucking order now, because I
just feel like the tension in this encounter, like I'm excited to see it happen. I think it's going to be a fun thing when it does. But it's just like this, I know where it's going, and like it's not that you can never do prequel or like backstep from something where you know where it's going to give added context. It just feels odd.
This wasn't meant to do that. This wasn't planned like this.
This does not feel like that was the intent.
Yeah, and it wasn't. And I feel bad. I'm starting out like this is an arc I really like, but I was hoping that it wouldn't be so noticeable what they did, and yeah, the fact that you kind of picked up on that almost immediately kind of just tells me like, nah, it was a bad idea.
But I don't want to.
And we've also already seen the what happens to that city.
Yeah, and like it's just like I don't know. You can do stories out of order. This just felt odd, but all the stuff that happened in this episode really cool, and I do want to actually focus on that positive though.
Yeah, they were trying to Tarantino. They ended up Shyamalan-ing.
Kind of.
Oh, damn. But yeah, but beyond that, I really do. So we talked a little bit about this last week. The doctor is, in fact, the same doctor that tells Deku that, hey, sorry, you got normal feet, so you don't got a quirk, which I guess at this point is abnormal feet. So it is a really funny. It's just
so that pediatrician has a side hustle as an evil doctor that creates mutant superheroes.
I mean, have you met any pediatrician who wasn't a little weird? Just saying.
I had a friend in high school. She said she wanted to be a pediatrician specifically so she could give children bad news. And it's just like, yeah, I think it takes a certain type.
Wow.
Yeah, look, somebody has to shatter the reality for them.
I might as well enjoy doing it.
I got the guts to do it, so I'll take that burden.
Wow. But yeah, so this was also, I gotta say one other thing. I was praising the direction in the show a lot early on, and especially during that first season. I'm not feeling that as strongly here. It's actually like a lot of these bigger moments aren't quite hitting as hard for me as I feel like they should. How about you guys? Did you feel like this was like a lot of these bigger dramatic moments were hitting this episode, or
what bigger dramatic moments are you referring to this episode?
That's what I'm talking about. Like,
I mean, like
the reveal
of
of
Shigaraki background.
I won't lie to you. Like the reveal of Gigantomachia, like in the manga, as like attacking the League was insane. And like I remember seeing that and I was like, this is fucking awesome. Here, it's just like, oh, I guess this is happening. Well, that's crazy.
I've seen enough anime where I've seen that scene before, is the thing.
I suppose.
I remember Sasuke when he was pulling together his little hawk troop and he ended up fighting the berserker dude with the curse mark or something. And it's kind of the same thing, except this guy's just way bigger and way stronger.
Big scary man comes in swinging.
A lot of people in the chat pointing out that we had a beach episode, and now we're and now we're losing actual canon material. And you know what? No, fuck it. I agree. I fucking agree. Fuck the beach.
When do the
episode.
villains get a beach episode?
We skipped it, Nick. We skipped their beach episode. Which was actually a church episode, and it was really cool. And we got no, I'm not gonna be a dick.
I will say it was neat getting into like some of Shigaraki's actual backstory though, and we're either in this situation where at least the situation I believe we're in is that All for One is this insanely awful gaslighter that just gave him this fake backstory for his family and is just force feeding him this bullshit to turn him into a puppet. I believe that's where we're leaning because All for One is proven to be a complete and total asshole this whole time. Hi, Selena. Either that or Shigaraki does just happen to have his quirk is very destructive and probably could have killed his parents accidentally, but it probably wouldn't have charred them.
Aw. Kitty.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love you. I love Selena. Selena's like the cuddlest, the sluttiest cuddle slut. She wants all the cuddles all of the time, and I love her. Anyway,
sweet baby.
But yeah, I gotta admit, the scene where All for One like plops down all the hands is like, by the way, this is your family, and Shigaraki just loses his cookies. It's like, damn.
The shattering there is really good. I liked though, like when we see him finding Shigaraki, it's this like. It took me a second to kind of remember. Like, I mean, I obviously All for One is the villain, but it's like this. Like, we know that the show has been setting up that the hero society that's been built is also bad and does deserve criticism. And so for a second, I thought they were like, are they going to really pull a like sympathetic villain here when he like kind of stoops down and he's like, I know what happened to you. Everyone saw you and went, a hero will show up and fix this. And they did nothing. And that's wrong. And we should not have a world like that. And I'm like, that's true. Like, I kind of agree with you here. Like, yes. Yeah. But then like his next move was like, anyway, here's your family that you murdered. I'm going to kind of very clearly and purposely traumatize you to make you rely on me.
Somewhere Yoshikage Kira is just like, oh, lucky.
Yeah. And it was just like this, like, oh, okay, well, maybe he could have done that a better way. Maybe this guy is still the piece of shit we always thought.
Yeah, no, like...
It's like they say, everybody's the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
Except for Shigaraki, who's like, no, I am a villain.
Yeah, no, he is the villain of the story, very pointedly. Which I actually really, I have a soft spot for I will be the villain that society needs. Like, I'm about to say something that's going to either gain me or lose me cred in certain anime circles. The whole plan that Sasuke had in Naruto, where the only time that we're ever really united is under war.
You need a deterrent.
Yeah, the fact that he decided that he wanted to be the villain that would unite all of the different countries. I loved that.
That a Lelouch moment.
Yeah, I thought like, shit,
following in his brother's footsteps to an extreme degree.
Yeah, when it comes to a villain, like obviously he was wrong. But when it comes to a villain's motivation, I loved that. I was like, I could see that. I understand why you would do that. And so like, I love great, understandable villain motivations, and playing the villain very specifically because, despite society, I dig that. I dig that. And I don't know.
I did like we also got the a little bit, a tiny little bit of insight into him actually kind of being a person as well. It's like, what about the things that I like? You gonna destroy those too? There's always room for things my friends enjoy. Yay!
Cool.
Which sure, okay, yeah. Let's just don't worry. He's got a very nuanced plan for how he's going to rip down society. Don't worry.
I also completely forgot that he speaks in video game allegories. So when like the first one popped out, I'm like, what the tutorial?
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Oh right. We haven't dealt with him in so long. He just had I forgot about that.
But I love that.
He's a gamer, man.
Yeah,
gamers rise up.
I did love his analogy of like, he's not invincible. He just has too much HP. So we just got to throw him at something to soften him up.
Yeah, no. It's a lot of grinding.
Which I liked that. Like, that was really fun. I do want to throw out there is Dobby saying he's got buddies he wants to make. Is that is this taking place before Endeavor's fight with that one Nomu? Is that what the doctor means when he's like, I've got a Nomu I want to team you up with, and I think you'll like him? Was he talking about that one?
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I think he was. Yeah, in fact.
Oh wow, yeah. The timeline is really fucked then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, the timeline. Okay, look, the timeline would have been. It still would have had to have like had him like jump back no matter what.
Yeah.
Like,
but now I realize, yeah, that's right. Because
this was
Dobby is there and encounters Endeavor.
They started fighting Gigantomachia, and then you jump forward like a month and a half. I'm like, oh, it's December now. Wait a minute, has the Christmas party happened yet? Oh God, where are we?
The Christmas party has not happened yet, but
oh God,
yeah.
They're not training with Endeavor yet or anything like that.
But yeah, we so Dobby took a step out to go do the stuff that started the season.
Which I also thought that was fun, just how Dobby's kind of like, I don't want anything to do with this, and everyone's just sort of like, okay.
he tried to burn the guy. It's like, nope.
Well, yeah, no. Dobby's like, yeah, you know what? We don't need Dobby. Dobby obviously is not going to be able to do much of anything here. So
you're just mad he's fire resistant. Stop talking, you lunatic. It's like a great response.
Yeah, they're really fun together.
Yeah.
But it's been, gosh, what else do I want to talk about in this episode? The very beginning of it actually, I think, started out later in the arc, though, because we see something going on with Shigaraki and the Doctor, and then then we do the whole jump back. So I think whatever's happening with the Doctor is actually like after all this stuff is happening.
Yeah, it's while Twice and Toga are with the Liberation Army, he's undergoing some weird electroshock perk surgery, something. I don't know.
Yeah, something's happened where he's presumably being injected with quirks, as my guess.
That reminds me. So we also, I had completely forgotten about this, and I don't know how because it's a really dark scene. Giran,
that was like the dude with like the scruffy beard and like cigarette all the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I wasn't sure who they were talking about.
He was their go-between.
Yeah. Okay. He's been taken by the Liberation Front, and apparently had all of his fingers, at least on one hand, chopped off and split up in different areas to get attention.
Yeah, that was a pretty good a good intimidation mob tactic. I feel like I'm just like, all right, we're gonna leave a finger of their connection at all of their sites of their major crimes, so they know we're talking to them.
Yeah,
I did have a big Suicide Squad moment there when it's like Giran. I'm like, who's Milton? Who?
Yeah,
what?
A little
what
bit.
What guy?
Because they don't say his name a lot. You just kind of see him on occasion.
And he didn't look anything like he did when he was strapped to the chair. So
he's a character I always kind of figured was like super like non-essential. Like it's just like, yeah, obviously these super villains would have like shady background, probably just regular criminal dealings.
Yeah, he's just a broker.
And it's just like, and he's just one of those dudes. So when they were name dropping him, I was like, who were they talking about? And then when they showed him for a second, I was like, I think I know who that is.
Unfortunately, they cut his reintroduction.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Like his fingers.
But yeah, so it's there's a lot of issues. The stuff that they're cutting introduces a lot of stuff, and it's kind of frustrating that they're kind of like, no, don't worry, we'll streamline it. And it's like, no, don't fucking do that.
Which is funny that you're so negative on it, because I actually did really enjoy this episode.
I know, but
even though apparently we're missing like a lot of context, and it does admittedly mess with the timeline a bit too much for my comfort. I did feel like it was, quickly paced to the point where I was talking to Grant about this before you hopped in the call, but I felt like when we were getting to the middle point of the episode, I'm like, oh man, it's about to be over. And then the middle title card hit, and I'm like, oh shit, we got a whole other half.
Yeah, and no, they're definitely like pedals to the metal. We're getting a lot of information, a lot of the stuff is happening. We're progressing really quickly. It's just like, and I'm trying not to be too negative. Here's the problem. The show has rarely ever done this to me. I've rarely been in a position where I'm this negative, primarily because they're changing and cutting stuff that added to the content.
No,
Like,
I
they're
think
not.
I feel like we're all kind of on the same page where this does feel like a weaker season, probably the weakest season so far. And who knows how much of that had to do with like, COVID restrictions and stuff like that. But it is weird.
I mean, I don't think COVID restrictions would have given us 2 full filler episodes.
You never know.
I like though that it's just as the episode kind of progresses and they're like, all right, Maki is really only after Shigaraki because he's the one who's like supposed to be replacing All for One. So that's the one he's going to focus on. So Shigaraki, you get to like sleep for 2 hours at a time, and we're going to try and help you in shifts because you're going to need healthy people supporting you, and there's no chance you're going to get to rest. So I love that this is like a training arc, almost like specifically for Shigaraki, but also them kind of like, okay, we're all going to have to coordinate this effort to help our boss get stronger.
Yeah, because Gigantomachia is very specifically targeting Shigaraki.
Yeah, who's trying to be the new boss? Like, shut up, you're not that strong.
I just like that they kind of describe him as just like he's this unstoppable force. If you go somewhere, he's gonna follow you. This isn't worth trying to escape and regroup and figure something out. Let's just deal with the situation as it's here.
He'll follow you and he'll attack you for 21 hours straight. Then he'll go nap.
But I also love how they set that up with the wait a second, so what you're telling me is that he's going to follow me anywhere I go? Well then, I'm just going to go to where they are and see how they like that.
Which is something I really dug that aspect of it when they finally got contacted by the Liberation Army. And there's like, hey, you're between a rock and a hard place now. So it's either you come here and you meet with us and, like submit to our rule, etc., or be destroyed by us either way. Or we'll tell all of the heroes where you are. I don't know.
They'll be there right away.
They'll be there. They'll surround you. They'll take you in. You're gonna get your head crushed by hot bunny girl thighs. So take that. Ha. You had to pause and think about it for a moment, but
that leads Shigaraki to the conclusion of like, well, then hold on. If I've got this, let's just to use his terminology. If I've got this boss fight going on here and an unavoidable boss fight I need to get to across town, what if I brought those boss fights to each other and made them fight? What was the hold?
It's a really
get on the other side of that villain wall.
Yeah. They picked the absolute wrongest time to try and fuck with Shigaraki right now. Like this was whoops.
The only time that might have been worse is if there was a period, because Shigaraki mentioned during this month and a half that the lines are getting closer together here. He's starting to move slower. Even though I'm tired as hell, I'm starting to see the weakness in him too. So it is a battle of attrition that maybe Shigaraki would not win overall, but there's a possibility that he could grind it out because he's a goddamn psychopath. So
he's got the commitment level for it at the very least.
The only worst time might have been after he had already got the allegiance of Giganta, where he could have just been like, go kill them.
I also really love where when Twice is freaking out, Shigaraki just takes off his fucking mask and he's all like, it's like
hey, shut up.
It's a really dark scene when you think about it, because it's like, that's not good for him. That's actually very, very bad. Like he's down there having a full-on breakdown. It's just
sometimes you got to give your friends a panic attack to keep them in line. That's all.
Yeah. Shigaraki just needed him to shut up for a second.
It does send the message home that no matter how nice these guys are with each other, they're still bad guys.
Yeah. At the end of the day, he might have said that like, oh, there's always room for things my comrades want, but that can go away and run out at any time it doesn't suit Shigaraki.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's kind of a dick, kind of a right bastard, as it were.
It turns out, being traumatized by the apparent death of your family and being raised by the ultimate gaslighter / other ultimate psychopath, that might do that to you.
So the implication this entire time, by the way, is that the hams he's been wearing on all over his body are those of his
family.
Yep.
Which I like that.
They also all have a very similar sized hand. It's really perfect for that.
Convenient. When he has like a when his like mind shatters when All for One tells him like these are the heads of your family. We see a bunch of flashes. We see like a dog, some children, like family members and stuff. Was one of them and it just kind of flashed by and I didn't go back to like really check on it. I know the reveal way earlier in the series that Shigaraki is the grandson of All Might's mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Did we see her face when it was flashing a bunch of family members that he killed? Did Shigaraki kill her?
I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure
because I don't know if we were ever told exactly what her fate was, but when we saw a bunch of those faces back there, I thought one of them kind of looked like her, but I don't know.
Yeah, I actually am having trouble remembering myself.
I feel like she'd had to have died before he existed, or else All Might would have known he existed, right?
Okay, to be fair,
Also
the chat is saying like no, in fact, she was not a part of the.
All for One has specifically said he killed her. I could also see that being, or like as in All for One did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although you would expect, it makes sense that there are people in that family that look like her, considering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very possible. Just something I wanted to bring up since I didn't know if that was anything that had ever been disclosed as far as her fate.
Right. But yeah, it's Shigaraki's whole deal is so like twisted and dark.
I'm sure we'll be getting much more of it as we continue on with My Villain Academia. How many episodes do we have left of this season?
We have 5 episodes left.
5 episodes left. Okay.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that we had fewer for some reason.
No, we have 20. There are 25 episodes total, and this was episode 20. So math.
Okay.
But
I know that the doctor, when he kind of introduces himself to the rest of the crew, he makes up a name on the spot just to give them. Is that a name they use? I'm asking you, Scott, since I know.
Oh, I don't remember. I keep saying the doctor because I
Yeah.
actually don't remember
Don't know.
what his.
Okay. That's fair.
Actually, here's a fun fact about that name, though. Fun fact time. So the name that they will be using in the actual episode, like anime proper, is different from the original name that was originally given in the manga that was then changed.
A copyright thing, or
No.
like was he originally like Dr. Obi-Wan or something?
Was it an accidental egg on their face? Didn't realize we made a pun that might not work or something?
No, it was way, way, way worse than that. So the name that he originally gave him, and I believe Horikoshi, when he says this, was supposed to be a reference to a character from another manga that he had read way back in the day. Like, it was just, I like to reference this character, so I'm going to give him a name. Like, I'm going to give him that name, which is okay. You can totally do that as long as it's not the exact same name with the exact same design. You can just give him the name, and it's good. It's fine. But the problem was that the name that he actually gave him as a doctor doing evil, what do you call it? Like experiments on people, was the exact same surname as a doctor from a very, let me just say, heinous part of the Japanese military doing terrible, terrible experiments on Chinese prisoners. Back in the day.
I can see why that would be bad.
Yeah, it's an incredibly terrible name. Like, somebody said basically Dr. Nuremberg. Yes, it's like if you had called him Dr. Nuremberg.
Nuremberg's just a city where trials took place. I don't know if that parses, but
well, okay, but point being,
Dr. Goebbels or something.
Yeah. It's basically just the worst kind of name that you could have possibly given that character. It got My Hero Academia banned in China. So he had to change that name. It was a minor controversy, didn't last.
So they
very
switched
long.
it to Dr. So they switched it to Dr. Winnie the Pooh, and now it's still banned in China.
Oh no.
I wonder if that's why he has the line in there. I just made that name up on the spot.
That would be exceptionally funny, actually. But yeah, it's a pretty dark part of the character, but it's also like, in retrospect, it's pretty funny.
It's also kind of strange, oddly fitting.
No, it was oddly fitting in a very dark and appropriate manner. Yes. So yeah, they had to change that. So the
Understandable.
name that he's got right now is going to be a different name from the original one. The original one in the manga. They also had to change that later for reprints. So but yeah. So fun fact about that character. I actually cannot remember his name, and I don't think anybody in the chat actually said what it was either.
I'm not up to date on my Japanese history.
Yeah, that's a part of that's a part of history a lot of people don't want to think about. But yeah. So but yeah, I'm looking forward to next. I despite my complaints, I'm obviously still looking forward to the rest of this arc and definitely next week's episode. As we continue on, my excitement's only going to grow. I know that. Just because I might have had a kind of a sour start to this, I know they're still going to keep a lot of the stuff that made it a really good arc. So
we kind of glossed over it. I like that we actually got, I feel like, a much better formal introduction to the Liberation Army. And their side of things, like Destro kind of being like, well, my family line has always been leading this thing, so that's definitely not going to change. You're just a kid coming into this generations long organization. You need to understand we got some rules, and that's how this thing's going to work. So it's already setting up some fun. I'm sure these two are just going to be backstabbing each other left and right, since we see that they clearly start working together at some point. But it's obvious that like they've all got their own motives, and they both want to be a top dog.
Yeah,
So,
I'll be interested to see how this organization related to All for One at some point, because clearly they had to know each other existed, since All for One was like the head honcho when it came to like big evil superpowers.
yeah. Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
By the way, yeah, to be clear, Maruta Shiga was the original name, with Maruta being the Japanese name for victims of human experimentation during World War II. That's the to be clear, that's why that name was changed.
Well,
yikes.
Yeah, and the name again, I believe Horikoshi absolutely when he says that. No, this was a reference to this doctor from a manga that I used to read, because the character exists. It is real.
Yeah, even with that though, that is an incredibly appropriate, if insensitive name.
Yes.
Yeah. It is. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, not a kid show. Let's not do that. Maybe let's not do that. Maybe. But yeah, no, we'll get off of that subject now. But I just thought that was interesting, especially since now the character is here. We can talk about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else in this episode that I really wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else.
Like I said, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good. I like what it's setting up.
Is this the first episode where Deku doesn't show up at all?
All season? I don't know if all season. It might be. I don't know if he was in the beach episode at all.
Yeah, you know what? We've had a couple episodes where we just focused on other characters, so maybe Deku wasn't in those at all either. But I feel like this is just we did not have like basically a single hero sighting this episode.
Yeah. By the way, we did meet Redestro.
Oh, did we?
I mean, very briefly. Like,
yes,
I mean, him on the phone.
Yeah, he's the dude with the big nose.
Oh, he's that guy. I thought he was a go-between.
Yeah. No,
that's
he's
kinda,
no. That's
he is our big man in charge of the Liberation Army, and apparently descended from previous leaders of this Liberation Army.
Yes.
He holds his quirk in his nose.
It's a big quirk.
I am very much looking forward to getting to meet him more. Like, it seems like you were disappointed with our first meeting with him.
I just didn't realize it was him. I thought it was like some capo for the organization calling, just being like, yeah, I'm just here to deliver a message. You know, something that you'd hand off to an underling.
I mean, if you're trying to make a point, like doing it yourself is one hell of a way to do it, I think, personally.
It did not. I mean, granted, this isn't like a mob, like they have like an actual like structure to them, but I'm thinking back to like The Sopranos. Tony isn't usually the one that calls up and gives the messages. He's just like, yeah, Paulie, go call this guy.
I was gonna say that's a Paulie job.
Yeah.
But so next week, yes, there will be. So there is going to be a My Hero Reviews next week. There may not be one on the 6th. We have a convention going on that weekend. It might still happen though. But you know, it's just kind of hard to say for sure. So expect one next week. Where
it depends on how well the travel goes the previous Sunday. But yes, for those in Texas, we will be at San Japan.
Yep.
down in San Antonio next weekend. The first weekend of September, the 3rd through the 5th, we will be there, and looking forward to a good time there.
They're doing COVID screenings. People have to have either have their vaccination or have a clean a clean COVID test. So we are being very careful about that. I'm going to be bringing my N25 or N95 masks and keeping myself as out of harm's way as I possibly can.
He'll be walking around in one of those big hamster bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to be the ball boy.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna do like a super monkey ball race down the little canals they have.
Yep.
This is the year that cosplay contests should be doing like characters in bubbles, or like just like themes of like psychic barrier characters.
I'm expecting like a bunch of Kakashi, some Scorpions and Sub-Zeros, and all masked cosplays.
Perfect time to be Celine from Returnal. Perfect time.
There you go. Yeah, just wear your Enviro suit.
Yeah. So hey, thank you.
Strange pull.
I played through the entire game like just a couple of months ago. Okay, it's still on my mind. It's also a good game. I highly recommend Returnal. But hey, everybody, make sure to stay safe at home. And we'll be back next week. Thank you all so much for joining us for another My Hero Academia reviews.
My villain.
Oh my god.
Read the title.
I like bad guys. I want to celebrate them.
You need to change that logo over there.
I will do my best to get that done before we have to. Maybe I'll even try and add a little thing with it deteriorating. We'll see. If it's not changed by next week, though, it's because I've been working on the Beastars next minute, and I've been busy as
fuck. In the intro theme, it says My Hero, and then it changes to My Villain. They should have had Shigaraki's hand go up and disintegrate the My Hero.
Hey, by the way, that logo disintegrating is things that fans have been asking for literally since this arc premiered in the manga. They're like, oh man, when they finally do... Yeah, in the manga, they actually did that proper. Like, obviously it wasn't animated, but the manga did do it.
That is one thing I wonder about Shigaraki. How can he wear gloves? His perk goes off, or like his quirk goes off anytime all fingers are touching something. Is the glove not one piece of material?
I'm not. Shut the fuck up. How about?
Can he not get up off the ground?
Only biological material. He's always got one finger not touching the inside of that glove.
So he has to.
One finger's always a little long.
He has to do the knightly deed like a gentleman. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can he disintegrate himself?
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Is this like a Midas situation? If so, at what point in the finger does it start to affect? Because does his skin disintegrate, or is it from his bones? Or is it from the very tips of his fingerprints?
He just makes a fist and gets really angry, and next thing he knows,
I'm so mad. My palm.
Well, hopefully this is answered in the coming weeks, but we'll see you guys next week on My Hero Academia Reviews. My Villain Academia Reviews.
Thank you.
I got it there. Fine. Leave me alone.